So when you look at basically percent body fat, which is the best predictor of inflammation, the American population is far more obese than we're led to believe.
Hello and welcome to the Wellness Zone podcast, where we discuss the science of wellness, metabolism, and the dietary pathways to maintain them. I'm Mary Perry, and I'm here with Dr. Barry Sears, and today we're talking about BMI versus body fat as a marker of wellness. So, Dr. Sears, let's just kind of get back to basics here, but why is excess body fat associated with chronic disease and so important to know your numbers?
Well, surprisingly, the answer is one word: inflammation. Basically, what excess body fat is a way of generating excess inflammation that spreads throughout the body. And the more excess inflammation you have, the more basically diseased you become and the shorter your lifespan. So this is one of the reasons you don't want to have excess body fat.
Mm-hmm. And we've heard a lot through the years. I know like DEXA is one of the gold standards for measuring body composition, but what do you feel is really the best measure to know what the level of excess body fat is?
Well, DEXA is, and this is an X-ray type of technology, is the best measure. However, it's expensive. A typical DEXA machine costs a couple $100,000. You're not going to find it in the typical doctor's office or the sports club. So how we measure body fat today? Really a hackneyed statistical thing called BMI. That is not a very good measure, but it basically is easy. Just take your height and put in and your weight and put in a few numbers in the calculator. Out comes a number both for males and females. But basically, it's not a good predictor because other measurements of body fat, like DEXA or other measurements, show that people who have, quote, a normal BMI or overweight BMI, they are actually obese. So when you look at basically percent body fat, which is the best predictor of inflammation, the American population is far more obese than we're led to believe.
So, and do you have a way that you think is the best way to measure body fat? So I know there's calipers and other things, but you make a good point that if you can't measure it regularly, there's probably no benefit because we don't have access to some of these scans and stuff. So what do you recommend for people to measure?
Well, in the old days, that's the 20th century, they used underwater measurements. Mm-hmm. You basically go to the pool, strip down to a bathing suit, and they dunk you in water and measure the weight. Now, guess what? Fat weighs less than muscle. So it's very easy now to calculate your weight in the pool versus your weight outside the pool, the difference being your body fat, and you can calculate percent body fat. It's still a classical method. However, from those old tables, you can now construct measurements. They'll give you a very good indication of what your percent body fat is, which is more important than BMI. And then we have that on our website at zoneliving.com. Mm-hmm. So when people basically say, well, my doctor says I'm okay, they measure their body fat using these calculations. They say, oh my God, I'm obese. Say, you're right, because you were lied to. So, and we go back even further in time. Remember the old Metropolitan Life tables? Yeah. Back in the 20th century, they were basically ranges of weight relative to your height that would basically be representative of living the longest. And when you look at those, most people who basically are overweight are obese. Mm-hmm. So again, we've been kind of stirring the facts for a long time that what we call basically non-obese populations, many of them are actually quite obese. Now, what does that mean? You're inflamed. Basically, your future is bleak. Mm-hmm. So the thing you want to do, I want to basically not lose weight. I want to lose fat.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's an important point because just because the number on the scale is going down, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're losing body fat. So what's the best way to lose body fat, but also retain your lean muscle mass? And I know we've talked about that a lot with weight loss drugs and stuff because you're losing weight, but you often lose body, lean mass. So what's the best way, in your opinion, to kind of get the best of both worlds?
Well, you have to understand metabolism. Now, if you basically restrict calories, that's a good way of losing body fat, you will lose weight. But as the data from weight loss drugs like Wegovy says, yeah, about 40% of your weight loss is coming from lean body mass. That's your muscles, your liver, your kidney, your brain. Those are things you don't want to lose. They're hard to come back. And a recent article just came out recently that when you lose muscle mass or basically lose weight by calorie restriction, at least in animals, and basically they go back on their diet, guess what? They regained the weight, but now it's all fat. So now we can take this and extrapolate to those on GLP-1 drugs. I've lost a lot of weight. A lot of it is lean body mass. I stopped taking the drugs, and what happens? The weight comes back. Do you think it's coming back as lean body mass?
Why not?
No, it's coming back as fat. So again, we're taking people who are already at high risk of chronic disease, if they don't already have them. And basically, when they go on these GLP-1 drugs, they will lose the weight. No question about that. But they don't stay on these drugs forever. Only about half stay on them for more than a year. So when the weight comes back, it's coming back as fat, and now you're worse off than when you started. So again, this is why I basically say, what can I do? Show me something that works. Well, there is one thing that does work clinically. It's called the Zone Diet. Now, the Zone Diet, yes, it is a calorie-restricted program, but it's one that has a balance of protein to carbohydrate that allows you to maintain, if not actually increase, lean body mass. And what are the benefits of doing that? Well, you can now treat chronic disease states like diabetes. And that's where this most recent work has come. They took diabetics and they put them on calorie-restricted programs. But they split them in two groups. One group was on the Zone Diet. They got adequate protein within their calorie restriction. The other group got a little less protein and got more carbohydrates. They both lost the same amount of weight. They both lost the same amount of fat, except those who basically are on the Zone Diet gained lean body mass, even though they were restricting their calories. So again, you can basically achieve that holy grail of losing fat and gaining lean body mass, but you have to have a basically relatively rigid control of protein to carbohydrate at every meal. People say, oh my God, it's so hard. I say, those are the facts. That's why you do science. You don't make facts up. You say, these are the facts. So if you want to basically lose excess body fat, which is good because you'll live longer and live better, then there is one way, a clinically proven way to do that. It's called the Zone Diet. Now, can you do more than just the Zone Diet? Because remember, why does basically excess body fat cause you basically develop chronic disease earlier? Inflammation. So at the same time, be adding extra omega-3 fatty acids. Why? They reduce inflammation. And if you want to add a little bit icing on the cake, add some polyphenols. Why? They reduce oxidative stress. That also reduces inflammation. Now, you put those three together, the Zone Diet, adequate levels of omega-3 fatty acids, and some polyphenols, and what do you have? Metabolic engineering. So that says, wait, that makes sense. If the reason I'm gaining fat because my metabolism is not working, if I fix my metabolism, I can lose fat and gain muscle. I said, you've got the understanding of metabolic engineering to a T. And that's where basically the power of understanding science and learning how to use science to basically achieve that holy grail of losing body fat and gaining muscle mass. The secret is doing it for the rest of your life.
So Dr. Sears, if someone's currently in active weight loss or they're on a GLP-1 drug, if they start adding in protein now and doing the zone balance to their meals, they should be able to still hold on to like lean body mass without losing any additional, correct?
Correct. And there's more. Now, the fact is we know these weight loss drugs, they do all their magic within the first year and then they stop. But we've had studies. One of our studies was with the world's heaviest man, Manuel Ribi. We started with Manuel. He weighed about 1,200 pounds. Over that time period, we worked him about 5 years. He lost about 440 pounds. But he was losing at a consistent rate over the entire 5 years. There was no stoppage. So the beauty of using the Zone Diet was the fact is you can continue losing fat. For how long? For basically the rest of your life. At the same time, be building lean body mass. So again, it's a much more powerful tool. It takes a little more effort than injecting yourself once a week. But basically, if you want a lifetime of basically controlling inflammation by losing excess body fat, the Zone Diet seems to be scientifically your best choice.
Excellent. So Dr. Sears, just to reiterate again, if people want to measure their body fat, where should they go?
Well, at zoneliving.com, we actually
Mhm.
have a little calculator. You just put in a few, calculations, and basically out will pop your percent body fat
Mhm.
and also your amount of lean body mass, and more importantly, the amount of protein you have to take in every day to maintain, if not increase, that lean body mass.
Mhm. And if they want to know more about the science of inflammation and body fat, where should they go for the science side?
For that, it's a little more complex, and that's why we have a different site. That's drsears.com. And there we try to explain the science of metabolism and how our diet can reprogram it for a longer and better life.